Hey everybody, it's Alex with Engineering Applied. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create a custom title block in Autodesk Inventor. If you want more easy to understand and practical content like this, made by an experienced engineer like myself, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any helpful content like this in the future. If you're looking for a specific function, check the description for timestamps. And if you don't find what you're looking for in this video, I encourage you to check out the other videos of my Autodesk Inventor series playlist because I know you'll find exactly what you need there. Let's get started. Okay, everybody, so here we are in our drawing file. So the objective of this video is to learn how to go from a standard title block. So currently I'm in the ANSI standard drawing format. So this is the title block that comes stock with the program or with the Autodesk Inventor software. And we want to go from something like this to something like this. So this is the title block I use for my company. Of course, yours can take tons of different forms depending on your preferences and your needs for information on this sheet. But anyhow, what I would like to point out before diving into this video is I recommend you go watch my video on creating custom drawing templates because that will show you how to get up to this point. It's really important that you know how to create a custom drawing template so that we can make those edits in the base template file and then carry those edits into every new drawing file that we open. Okay, everybody, so here we are at the home screen. So what we want to do first is we want to open up our Windows File Explorer and we want to navigate to this particular folder. So you're going to start out in your C drive or the hard drive in which you've installed your operating system and then work your way all the way along this pathway to the ENUS folder. Now, this is the folder in which all of the standard templates are housed. One thing I'd like to note is that we have two different types of templates we can start with. We can either start with the .dwg, which maintains compatibility between Autodesk Inventor and AutoCAD, and then we have our .idw, which is an Inventor drawing format. So typically, if you don't have a preference, I say go with the .dwg for most cases because it will allow you to share files with users of AutoCAD. The first thing we need to do is create a copy of the standard .dwg file. So I'll right click on that, go to copy. Let's jump up a level to the templates folder. And I created a folder called history here. So we'll go in there. And this is where I pasted that standard.dwg file. Okay, so there are two main benefits to using this approach. The first benefit is, of course, we're creating a backup of that original drawing template. The second benefit is that we can go back into the ENUS folder and directly edit the standard.dwg file so that we can maintain compatibility with this drawing button here in the home screen. Okay, so when you hit this drawing button, it looks within the ENUS folder for a file called standard.dwg. So when we edit this file, we can launch our new custom drawing template very easily using this button. Of course, you can jump into the advanced menu and click on the specific drawing template you want to start a new drawing from. But me personally, I like to be able to use this button on the home screen and maintain that functionality. So that's why I'm showing you this approach. Now, I'd like to take a moment to emphasize how important it is that you back up the original standard.dwg file like we did previously here by putting it in the history folder or wherever you want to keep that original backed up file, because once you change the standard.dwg file within the ENUS folder, those changes are permanent. Okay, so that's why we created a backup. So now that we've backed everything up, let's go ahead and open our drawing template that we'll be editing. You will be editing the standard.dwg file. I will be editing custom template.dwg because my standard.dwg is already complete with my own title block. So double click on standard.dwg. Okay, and it will launch this in a new window. And of course, at the top, you want to make sure that it says standard.dwg. In my case, again, it says custom template because this is what I wanted to call this template that I'm editing here. If it says drawing 1, drawing 2, and so on and so forth, you are in the wrong file. So if you were to go to new and just launch a regular drawing, it'll be indexed as drawing 1, 2, so on and so forth. Okay. If you make changes to this, it won't stick. Okay. You need to make changes in the base template. That's why it needs to have your template file name here at the top. To make sure that you're always opening the correct template, just use File Explorer to go into the ENUS folder and double click on standard.dwg. Okay. You can either do that or go up to open, go to that same ENUS folder and launch it from here. So those two ways will get you to the correct drawing template so that you can edit the right file and save all of your changes. Now that we're ready to start editing this title block, I want to go ahead and shrink the sheet size down by a size. Currently it's size D. I want it to be a size C. So what I'll do is I'll just right click on sheet 1, go to edit sheet, okay, and I'll change this to C. All right, within this menu, you can change the location of your title block. So if I click on this top right hand button here, and click OK, you'll see that the title block jumps to the top right hand corner. I actually don't want that. I'll keep it in the bottom right. Okay, so I'll go back to edit sheet. Okay, and I'll just click this button here and we'll leave the sheet in landscape. So I'll click OK. Now that we have the sheet resized, we can take a couple of approaches to creating this new title block. We can either start a title block from scratch by going up to Manage and going to the Define section on the ribbon and clicking Title Block, or we can use predefined templates under Drawing Resources. So we open up that folder, go to Title Blocks, open that folder, and we can either start with ANSI Large or ANSI A. So currently we see ANSI Large. This is what I like to start with as a base and then modify it for my preferences. But if you need a little more condensed starting template, you can go with ANSI A, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But if you want to start from scratch, go up to Manage, Define, and Title Block, and you're just going to click Title Block. And then let's go ahead and just draw a couple rectangles. It doesn't matter, where they're at or anything at this stage. This is just an example. We'll go to, you can either right click and go to Save Title Block, or you can go to Finish Sketch at the top. Okay, and then let's just name this example. Hit save. Okay, so under the title blocks folder, now you see our example title block. So let's go ahead and clear our existing one here by going under the sheet 1 designator here. So we just expand sheet 1, right click on ANSI Large and click delete. Okay, you can only have one title block at a time. So now we go up to the title blocks folder, right click, and then go to insert on our example title block. And you see it jumps to the right hand corner where we want it, and it has the shapes that I drew there. Of course, this is just an example to show you how to create a new title block from scratch. You can of course draw it up to your company's specifications and move on from there from scratch. I personally started with the ANSI Large template and just sort of formed it to the end result that I wanted. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on here. So I'm actually going to delete this example title block by right clicking on it, going to delete, and I'm going to delete this here. Okay, because we don't really want to use that. So let's start out with our ANSI Large version. So I'll just right click on this and go to Insert. So it inserts that base template again, but now we can actually edit this template and save it as something else so that we can use it as a base while maintaining the original template. To do that, all you have to do is go up to the title blocks folder once again, right click on your starting template that you're using for the title block and go to Edit. Before you make any changes here, make sure you go up to Finish Sketch first and then go to Save As, okay? And then save it as your custom title block name. So I'm just gonna call this one Custom Title Block, okay? You can name it whatever you want and click Save. Now under the title blocks folder, we have our new custom title block name. Okay, so we wanna make sure that we're using this custom title block within our sheet. So let's right click on what was in there previously, go to Delete, right click on our new custom title block name, go to Insert, and now we are going to see this title block updated as we actually edit this title block element. Now, go back up to title blocks, right click on the element that you want to edit, and then go to Edit. Now we can start making changes to the title block itself. Let's start by taking a look at adding and changing our line elements. So of course you can add line elements or various shapes and whatnot using the sketch tools available to you in this ribbon here at the top, or we can trim stuff out, we can remove lines, we can also change their weight. So let's say, for example, I wanted to change the weight of these separating lines here that run across under the signature boxes here. So what I can do is right click on the line of interest and go to Properties. Now you can also pick multiple lines at once by holding Control and selecting all the lines of interest that you want to change. Okay, and then once you've done that, you can right click and go to Properties. And here at the top, we have our line type, and currently it's set to by layer, but of course you can change the line shape or the style by opening this drop down and selecting the entry of choice. So you can change that, but I'm going to leave it on by layer, and we can change the line weight underneath here. So we can just open up this drop down, select a standard line weight, or you can type in a custom value. So we can really thicken up a line, for example. So we'll just go to 0.039 inches and we'll click OK. So there, now we have thicker lines. We could finish sketch and click yes to save the edits. And now you can see those lines are a little bit thicker than the rest, okay? So now let's go ahead and undo that. Okay, now we can trim lines out. So let's say, for example, we wanted to open up this field down here for a little message, such as remove all burrs and break sharp edges, something along those lines. Okay, so what we can do is we can go up to trim. We can trim out these lines, for example. All right, so I'll trim this one out as well. Okay, and let's go ahead and delete this field here. So let's say we don't want this approved spot. So what we can do is, get out of the trim tool. I can delete this and that, and we'll leave this line up here. And now we can go to finish sketch and hit yes to save those edits. And now we have a space here to put some text in. Let's go back in and edit this one more time. I'll right click on my custom title block, go to edit. And now let's take a look at what we can do for text. Now there's tons of flexibility for text, so pay careful attention to the types of entities that are used here, because this will affect your workflow on a day-to-day basis. So what we'll go ahead and do here is let's go up to text and we'll drop text anywhere in this empty space out here. We'll just left click and it opens up this format text dialog box. So in the top section here, we have all of these standard tools available to us with a typical word processor. But what we're especially interested in is what's available here in this type drop-down menu, okay? So we have properties and we have prompted entries. So the main difference is that properties pull information from the iProperties data for the drawing, for a model, and so on and so forth, whereas a prompted entry allows us to type whatever we want at any time. I typically like to use prompted entries because it allows me more flexibility on a day-to-day basis. But I'll show you both and let you decide what will work best for you in your typical workflow. So let's go ahead and start with something that you would typically find in a drawing. So we'll open this drop down and go to properties-drawing. Okay, so these are drawing properties. And then you want to jump over to this drop down here and we can toggle the specific property that we're looking for. So let's say, for example, we want to have a field for the designer's name. So we'll go down to designer, left click on that. Now this is really critical. To enter a property, whether it's for a model, a drawing, or so on and so forth, you want to go over to this little X with a down arrow and you want to click add text parameter. So when we click that, it'll drop that into the space. So now that we have our element there, we can click OK. And now you can see we have our element for our designer name. Now let's go ahead and drop in a prompted entry so that we can compare the two entities side by side. So what we'll do is we'll go up to text, click here next to designer. Okay, so now we want to go down to the type box and select prompted entry. You'll notice that the property box or the property dropdown is grayed out and we cannot select a property. That's because prompted entries don't require a property. All we type here is a label, so just whatever we want to label this particular entry as, and then we can click OK. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'll go ahead and erase everything that we see here inside of this box and change the symbols a little bit so that we can easily distinguish between our property elements and our prompted entry elements. Okay, so let's go ahead and just highlight all of this and I'll type in whatever it is that I want. So I'll type in designer and prompted entry. Okay, now we'll click OK. And so now you see my text string pops up here. Of course, you can click and drag it wherever you want in the title block, and then we can click finish sketch and yes to save those edits. Now, as you can see, we get this dialog box that pops up with our text string that we entered manually for our prompted entry. So here's our property field. So this is the label that we assigned. And then here's the value. Now, I want you to notice something. When we click on value, the little cursor here on the left turns into a pencil. That means that we can actively edit this value on the fly. So let's go ahead and just enter my name in as the designer for that prompted entry field, and we'll click OK. Now you'll see that my name pops up there. Well, you don't see anything pop up on this side. Let me show you how to change an iProperty field. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go over to your model browser, expand sheet 1, expand custom title block or whatever you called your custom title block, and double click on field text. All right, so within this space, we can actually see everything all at one time because we have a filter here at the top that we can change. So currently it's set to all, so we can see everything at once. But if we just want to see our drawing properties and sheet properties and so on and so forth, you can toggle that accordingly. We'll leave it on all for now. Now let's go ahead and click on our designer field. So here it is at the bottom. And when we click on that, notice it remains as a mouse cursor. Okay, so that means that we cannot edit this value from this particular menu because it looks for an iProperty value. So now that we've clicked on this, let's go ahead and go up to iProperties, click on that. And then now we need to find a field that says designer. So let's go ahead and try the project tab. Okay, there it is right there, designer. So what we can do is type in my name there, and I'll do just type in iProperty so that you can see the difference between the two. We'll click OK. And okay, so there you go. So on this side, that was that designer string or the drawing property string in which we entered the iProperty to populate that field. On the right side, that is the prompted entry field where I just typed in my name as that dialog box appeared. So again, if you want to edit a field with a prompted entry, you can go back to field text, double click on that. And let's go down here to this prompted entry field here. Now, if you use a lot of prompted entries, I recommend just changing your filter to prompted entry so that it only shows you those. And then let's click in this field and change it to something else. So let's just do, I don't know, John Smith, just a random name. Okay, we'll click OK. And there you go. Now we've easily changed that field without having to go in and worry about changing the iProperty. So again, if you want to only enter an entity once or a value once and have that automatically propagate in multiple places, I suggest using some form of a property. It could be a model property, a drawing property, whatever, and you would enter that value through the iProperties menu. However, if you want more manual control over every little field that you have in your drawing, I would suggest using prompted entries. Now that we understand the basics, let's go ahead and make some changes to this title block and save this template so that we can see how this opens when we index new drawings, okay? So first of all, let's go ahead and enter a company name up here. So in this particular case, I don't want to change the company name ever. Since this is going to be a single company's title block, we can go ahead and just type regular text here and format it accordingly. So let's go ahead and just delete this. Okay, we'll go back up to text. We'll click somewhere in here, it doesn't matter. And then let's just type engineering applied. Okay, of course, we can highlight all of this and change the font size. I'll go to 0.240 inches. All right, that looks good. And let's click OK. We'll right click and go to OK to finish the text command. And we'll just leave it somewhere there in the right side because I want to put an image here. So what I'll do to insert an image is go up to Insert under the Sketch tab, go to Image. And you can either draw sort of a space where you want to drop your image in there, or you can just click once so that your original image maintains its aspect ratio. I typically recommend the second option so that your image doesn't become distorted. So like you don't accidentally elongate it or throw off the aspect ratio of the image itself. So what I'll do is I'll just hit cancel there. All right. And let's go ahead and just hit escape a few times. Let's try that again. We'll go to image and let's just click anywhere. It doesn't matter. All right, so let me navigate to the engineering applied folder and we'll pull in the company logo here. Okay, so I've navigated to my artwork folder and so now let's go ahead and select a logo to drop in. So I'll just double click on that. And as you can see here, it's a giant image here on the page, but we can fix that. So let's go ahead and hit escape a few times to get out of the image drop tool. And so now what we can do is we could just sort of move this over towards the center and we can shrink this down by dragging the corner, getting it to a size that's favorable for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again and make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll leave it like that for now. And so we've dropped our image in. We have our company name here. Let's readjust that. Of course, we can change whether or not we want prompted entries in here. So you can go nuts with designing your title block. Okay, now that we have our entries of interest there, we can go to Finish Sketch, click Yes to save. And as you can see, we have the basic changes that we made. And now all we have to do is go up to Save. So we've now saved our custom template. We can go to the home screen. And now let's open a new drawing with our custom template. So I'll go to Advanced and just open up that custom template. It says that it's currently open. I've actually got to close out of that real quick. Let's try that again. We'll open up custom template. Okay. And there we go. So now it opens up with the default setting. So it's defaults to a size C. Of course, you can change the sheet size as well. If you right click on sheet, go to edit sheet, you can change it to different sizes and it'll maintain everything in the title block, which is pretty nice. So let's go ahead and change that back to a size C. Okay. Now, I want to point out we have our image, our company name, and so on and so forth. Now, before I go ahead and finish up this video, I wanted to take a moment to walk you through my personal title block design and the elements that I used in that design as a point of reference for you to get started. So I'll go ahead and open up my template here. Double click on that. All right, so here we go. This is my standard.dwg file. And as you can see here, I have all of my basic elements already filled in here just as a point of reference for me so that when I make changes here, I could see how it would look fully filled in. And of course, I've added a table of revisions here at the top as part of that standard template. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go into the drawing resources, title blocks, and my default title block for my company. Go to edit. Okay, so now let's take a look at what we have here. Starting on the left side, all of these notes here are all plain text elements. So if I were to double click on any one of these elements, you'll notice that there's no property associated to it. Okay, it's just regular text. Moving to the right, all of these elements in here, so the names and the dates, those are all prompted entries. Okay, so I typed in whatever label I wanted to see in the prompted entry menu and entered that and clicked OK. All right, so moving to the right, plain text for the company name, plain text for the legal jargon here, image for the company logo. This one's interesting. In the bottom right-hand corner, it's actually a mix and match of various elements. So the word sheet and the word of are just plain text, but the sheet number is a sheet property for the sheet number, and the number of sheets element is a drawing property for the number of sheets, the total number of sheets in the drawing. So you can mix and match those as you wish. Moving on here, this third angle projection, I just manually sketched all that and dimensioned it. So you have plenty of flexibility here. You can even dimension the text based off of an anchor point, and I'll show you how to do that now. All you have to do is double click on the text string of interest that you want to dimension. And the anchor point for the dimensioning is based off of the justification. So this particular one is left justified towards the top. So when I zoom in on this, you'll notice that there's this little dot here in the top left-hand corner. That is the justification point. And off of that point is where I've dimensioned this string of text. Now, if we move down here to the bottom left-hand corner, I have a string of text that's pulled off of the center point. And so this one is center justified towards the middle. So that point resides in the middle of the string of text. And that's exactly where I dimensioned these two lines off of. So now let's go ahead and finish the sketch. We're not going to save anything because I don't want to make any changes to this. And let's go ahead and change some of these prompted entry fields. So I just open up sheet 1. I open up my title block, field here, double click on field text. And as you can see here, I have all of my prompted entry fields that pop up. I want to actually filter this to only prompted entries so that I can see exactly what I'm looking for. And here we could just type in whatever. So I can just type in Alex. I can type in different dates, right? So I can type in 05, 2022, for example. It doesn't really matter. And then of course you can change the drawing, the part number, right? So we can change all of these fields and click OK, and you see all of these things change. So the name field changed, the date changed here, the drawing number, and so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and open a new drawing so that we can see what this looks like in practice. So when we click on drawing, I get a pop-up for my prompted entries. We can either enter our values now or we can enter them later. I usually enter them later, so I'll just go ahead and click OK and OK one more time. And as you can see here, I have a brand new blank drawing file based on that template that I was editing earlier. And if you go up to the top, you can see the drawing file name is currently drawing 22. This is a generic name assigned to a blank drawing. So I know I'm not accidentally editing that template. So we're good there. And then of course, we can go down and edit the fields in the title block by going under sheet 1, going under the title block name here and double clicking on field text. And then we can filter everything out other than the prompted entries and then enter the values accordingly. That's all for this segment of the Autodesk Inventor drawing creation module, where I showed you how to create a custom title block. I really hope that you found this tutorial to be helpful and that you put what you've learned into practice so you can continue developing your skills as you work your way through these lessons. Also, before you watch the next video in the series, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date on future content that will help you create the future you want for yourself. And of course, don't hesitate to leave a comment or reach out via my website contact page and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to learn about or see on this channel. I really appreciate you choosing to stop by and learn with me, and I'll see you again soon.